Okay, this is the second video as how to create virtual host in Apache or Apache installation with custom Apache installation. The first video shows how to add this configuration into http.config, the main http.config. But in this video, we are going to use a vhost, http-vhost.config. Um, the process is almost the same. You almost add the exact same code, but in different location. So let's go ahead and create our virtual host using http-vhost.config. So the very first thing is I'll go to where I install my Apache, which is in my case is user local Apache 2. Um, there is a folder here called config. That is where we had the HTTP config before, where we modified this and add our virtual host right in that file. Now we have to go to the extra folder. There are so many files in there. If I just go to extra and do ls, you should be able to see them. There's so many files in here. As a matter of fact, the http default.config is for the main or default website. So the one we are going to use is this one, http vhost config. Let me go ahead and open that file for you, vhost.config. Okay. Uh, so if I come all the way down here, you see their sample virtual host there. Uh, for this video, I'm going to comment this file, this part of the file, to have only one virtual host. If you look at this, this is very similar to what we have done in the first video. The server admin is the email address of the administrator of the website, where if any error happens on the server, this email will be shown to the user so they can send an email. The document root is where we store all these files. As usual, or same as what I did in the very first video, I'm going to add the path to where I want to store these virtual hosts. So I go to var www gblearn.ca is the domain that I want to host in here, and htdocs, or as I said, public underscore HTML. It doesn't really matter. You can call it goggly goo instead of htdocs. This is the public folder. So here I have the domain name. I can go ahead and say gblearn.ca. I use the alias to specify the www version of the domain. And one thing you have to remember, you can have in a space and have another domain here as well if you need to. Just leave in a space and add as many domains as you want. In this case, you can simply go ahead and have multiple domains. Now, the log, I'll talk it in a separate video, but for now, all the error log or access log, if anything happens in any error goes to a folder called logs and will be saved as, let me just change this one so it makes more sense for us to look at it. gblearn.ca error log, and call the other one um, gblearn.ca access log, right? Uh, don't worry about the error log and custom log at this moment. The part that we need is the 7admin document root, 7name, alias, and that's all we need. So we go ahead and save this file. The next thing I have to do is I have to go I have to go to the main HTTP file and enable including this virtual host file into HTTP configuration file. So when Apache loads the HTTP when it starts, it actually includes the file I just modified so it can become part of the configuration. Let me just go ahead and add this. Go to look for vhost. Okay, not this one, but the other one which says include. You see that? Virtual host include. I just removed this comment. You remember pound sign or hashtag is a way of commenting a line in HTTP config. So I just save this one for now. And of course, I have to restart the server. So I just go ahead and go to the bin folder, right? And then I will run Apache controller and restart my server. So let's see what it is. Again, we get the same problem because I don't have such a folder. Let's go ahead and create that folder. Make dir-p var www. I put the dash p there to force creation of these recursive folders slash gblearn.com .ca, sorry, slash htdocs, right? So this is created. There are a few things I have to do here. If you remember, the very first thing was to give access to, to people on the internet to go to these folders. So now I'll go ahead and I will go to the extra folder. I will open http-vhost because I have to add a few more items, as you remember from last video, to make this work. So, okay, so simply go here and create a container. And this container, I just copy it from what I had before and paste it here to make it a bit faster. So I create the container. The container identifies where do I want to add these rules. In our case is where I want to host this virtual host. Is var www.gblearn.ca. htdocs is very similar to what I have in document root. Require all granted will give access to everybody to that one folder, to the htdocs, and then I have the option plus index. The reason is if there is no file in that folder and I don't add option plus index, still I get the forbidden message, so I would not be able to access that folder. Doing this, if there is no index.html or any default file that is defined in the HTTP config, still people can see the content of directory. So I just go ahead, save this one, and let me go ahead and go back to the bin folder, and let's run Apache control, restart. Okay, so if I do this, I should be able simply to see the index. Of course, I don't have any file in there, so I'm going to do that as well. I will go echo, this is a file. This is a test content, so let's say content. I will drop this into var www gblearn.ca htdocs, right? And the file that is called index.html or whatever you want to name it, right? So in this case, if I reload this, I can see the content. Since index.html is defined as a default page, it will be shown. Thank you for watching. I'll talk to you soon.